In this video, we're going to start the setup process for your blog. Now, let's just have a quick look over on the left here. This is where we control what goes on our blog. So you have home here. If you have any updates for WordPress, it'll show them in here. We have posts, which are your blog posts. And within there, you can set up your categories and your tags. And we're going to get to all this a little later. You have a media area where you can upload files, videos, and pictures. You have links where you can add links off your blog. You can add a link area. Pages are static pages that aren't part of the regular blogosphere. In other words, they're not attached to any categories. They're just standalone pages. You can use this if you're going to create a page that you don't want in your blog, but you want, say, maybe a static home page. Or if you're creating a website from WordPress, you can use pages. Okay, this is where any comments appear. Appearance is where we set what our theme is, so we can change the look of our site here. Plugins are where we add functionality by installing plugins that other people have made for WordPress, and there are hundreds of them, hundreds of thousands of them that we can install. Users, if somebody registers for our blog, we'll be able to manage them and view them in here. We have a few things in tools, import, export, and some other tools. And settings is where we can go in and do some setup for our blog. And this is where we're going to start. Let's go to General under Settings. Remember earlier I said that we could change the title later or the description. Okay, this is where we can do that. So classic RVs, if you wanted to change that, you could do that here. And then this is where you can change the tagline, which appears right underneath it. So all about classic RVs. Now, next you see the WordPress address and the site address. These can be different because you can install the WordPress files in a different directory than you have the WordPress home page. That's an advanced function that we're not going to really go into. You can just install it as I've shown you here. But if you want to know how to do that, you can click on this link here and it'll show you how to move your WordPress home page outside of where the install is. Okay, you can change your email address here. Here you can decide if you want people to be able to register for your blog. You may or may not want people to be able to do that. If you just want people to be able to read your blog but you don't want them to actually be able to log in, you can leave this blank. And you can also set the comments so that people don't have to be signed in or be a member of your blog, or you can make it so they can. So you can set this the way you want. And then the role when they sign up, default to subscriber, and that's usually what you're going to want to use unless you have some special members that you want to set as administrators, editors, authors, or contributors. Okay, editors, authors, and contributors are different levels of authorization that you can assign people to manage the content of your blog. If you're managing it yourself, you don't need any of these. Okay, here you can set your time zone. You can use the universal time code here, or you can look up here and you can pick the closest city to where you are here. And there's different areas here that you can look through. And then you can just pick the closest one. And it'll set the time zone according to the city that you pick. Okay, and then your date format here and your time format. And the week starts on. Okay, you can change this if you want. Save the changes. Okay, so now we have some basic things done here. Writing. What this does is it just sets the way some things work on here. So the size of the post box, this is the box where people put their posts in. Convert emoticons into graphics. This should click in invalid nested XHTML automatically. The default post category, which you haven't set any categories up yet, you can set it here if you want a default category and the default post format. Okay, so you can set that as you want. Usually you're going to want to leave that as standard. And link categories we haven't set up yet either, so we can come back to this one a little later. Down below you can post by email, and you'd have to set up your email server, a login name and password down here to be able to do that. Okay, and then remote publishing and update services. This is one here that pings these different networks whenever we make a post, so that helps get us some backlinks and traffic. Now reading, you have a few things you can set in here. Now you can, in a normal blog, you just have your blog post in chronological order, but you can set a static home page if you want. If, like I was mentioning earlier, you can create pages, and you can set a static home page so when somebody comes to your blog, they land on a single page that you've created, and then they have to go somewhere else to your blog. So you can do it either way you want, and these just determine how many posts show on a blog page and in a feed. Okay, and then whether you want full text or summary, and the encoding. You're usually going to want to leave this at UTF-8. Okay, discussion. This is where you set how you want comments to be handled. Okay, so above here you can attempt to notify any blogs linked from the article. So if there's a link in the article, it'll notify those blogs that they've been linked to. Allow link notifications from other blogs. These are called pingbacks and trackbacks. Allow people to post comments on new articles. Okay, now I usually like to turn off these first two because people can actually use trackback spam. Okay, so I turn these off, and here is where you can determine whether you're going to allow them to post comments at all. Okay, so if you don't want any comments, you can just turn this off right here. Now, some control down here. You can have the comment author must fill out a name and email address. So if you have that checked, they're going to have to do that. User must be registered and logged in, and this is what I was talking about a little while ago. If you're going to allow people to register, then you can set it this way, and people are going to have to register for your blog before they're going to be able to comment. Automatically close comments in articles older than so many days. You can set that if you want. Enable threaded or nested comments, so they all nest in levels depending on who's commenting on what, and you can break comments into pages and so on. Okay, and then you can get an email when somebody posts a comment or a comment is held for moderation. Okay, now before a comment appears, the administrator must always approve the comment. So if you have this checked and you have this check, then it's going to email you. Comment author must have a previously approved comment. So if they don't, then the comment's going to wait for moderation as well. Okay, and then 2 or more links is the default. It's going to hold it in the moderation queue. And then here you have holds by word. Okay, any words you put in that are in here, you've seen all those kind of spam comments if you have looked at blogs or if you've managed any blogs. You'll see that people will try and put all kind of spam on a blog, so you can put some of the spam words in here. This is if you want them held. Now this is if you want it blacklisted. So words like this, Viagra, you probably want to blacklist them, so they won't even appear in the moderation queue. Now iffy words that might be an everyday conversation, you can put in the moderation queue and be notified, so you can decide if you want to allow the comment. Okay, so those are the 2 different parts. You have the held for moderation and blacklisted by words. Down here, this controls your avatars. If people have avatars attached to their email account, they'll show up if you have it turned on. The rating of your blog, if your blog is suitable for all audience, you should say so here. And if it's not, then of course you need to tell the blogosphere as well. Okay, so make sure you do that. And then you can have a default avatar. If somebody doesn't have a gravatar attached to their user ID, it'll just use the one you put here. So you can save your changes there. Okay, media. Okay, this is just the default thumbnail size and the cropped thumbnails to the exact dimensions. So you can set the different things here. whether you want automatic embedding of YouTube, etc. So you can set any of the things in the media that you like. Now privacy, we've already set this when we were creating the blog or when we were setting up allow search engines to index the site. But this, if you didn't do that, you can change it in here. You can change it back and forth. And the last thing is permalinks. This is the URL to your posts. Now if you look here under default, it shows you that a post is going to have a question mark, P equals, and a number. That is not at all search engine friendly. So what you're going to want to do is use post name. Okay, and then click Save Changes. Okay, so that is now set our blog to use post name for our URLs. Now you may get a box down here with some code in it if it isn't able to change that itself. And if that's the case, you need to change the htaccess file manually. Now to do that, what you can do is go to your cPanel and then to your file manager. Okay, and then you'll see an htaccess file here. What you want to do is edit that, and then any code that appeared in that box you want to put in here. Okay, and you can see this did it automatically for me. You see these rewrites, those were put in automatically by WordPress. So what you'll do is you'll just put it in right at the top of the htaccess file, just like this did. So you just paste the code in there, and then you're going to save the changes over here. Okay, so that's if it doesn't do it automatically for you. Okay, in the next video, we're going to go over setting up the way our blog looks using the different themes, and we're going to go over installing some plugins to add some functions.